This is an NBC News special report. China in crisis. Here is NBC News correspondent Tom Brokaw.
Good afternoon once again, everyone. Well, it is now the middle of the night in China. It is very early on a Tuesday morning in Beijing, and it's fair to say that the capital city is still up for grabs. The army is controlling a portion of it, but the people prevail in many of the neighborhoods. What is going on there at this hour is that the armored divisions from a unit called the 27th Division has taken up a defensive posture in Beijing's Tiananmen Square now. And there are tanks and men in place. As you can see, these are scenes that we were able to get out of there from late Monday afternoon, Beijing time. All of those troops and armored personnel carriers and tanks were put into a defensive posture at a time when we were told that military units were fighting with other military units. On the outside of Beijing, one military unit that normally has control of the capital city, we're told, has refused to move out of its garrison. It's a protest to what happened over the weekend, a massacre in the square, perhaps thousands of people dead. Still, the curious, the angry come and confront the troops, each in their own way, at Tiananmen Square. And in some cases, they have been able to fight back with crude Molotov cocktails. That's a burned-out army truck that you see there. But for now, it appears to be a kind of a standoff. There has been no further violence, so far as we know, although on a massive scale, although continued sporadic shooting does go on. On the telephone now from a hotel just off Tiananmen Square is NBC's Keith Morrison. Keith, has it been a relatively quiet night?
It's been relatively quiet for the last 90 minutes or so, Tom. Earlier on in the night, we heard some artillery fire that seemed to be coming from the western end of the city, and then small arms fire all around the hotel. That has died down now, and there's been nothing. It's been deadly quiet for, as I say, about 90 minutes. Earlier, just outside our hotel, one of the buses, which appeared to have been commandeered and placed in a back alley, burned up, and we heard a few pops as things exploded. It's a suspenseful time. Everyone is expecting something will happen soon, but for the moment, it is quiet.
And Keith, what are you hearing on Chinese radio and television?
The Chinese government television program last night spoke of a long and difficult struggle to come. There was an open letter from the leadership to all of the Chinese people, an unusual sort of approach they took in which they congratulated the troops for a job well done, but they said the job was not finished. And when Chinese television says a long and complicated struggle to come, it generally means, reading between the lines, that things are in bad shape among the leadership, and they're fighting it out.
A lot of American tourists in Beijing at this time of the year. Keith, are they sticking pretty close to the hotel?
They are, and there certainly is some nervousness. Those who are more familiar with Beijing and have been here for a longer time tend to be calmer about it, but tourists who have come in are many of them anxious to leave. The flights going out of the country are full. The flights coming into the country are mostly empty.
All right, thank you very much. Keith Morrison, still at his post in Beijing. President Bush announced earlier today a series of steps against the Chinese, including a suspension and a ban on the sale of American military weapons to China. He also urged the military to resort to its earlier position of restraint, obviously trying to exploit those reports of some division within the Chinese military. We'll have a complete wrap-up on all of this tonight on NBC Nightly News. We'll have continuing reports throughout the day, and then tonight at 11:30 here on NBC Eastern Time, we'll have still another update for you, a complete look at what's going on in China, because by then it will be about midday on Tuesday, and if there are additional developments, we'll be hearing about them at about that time. For now, I'm Tom Brokaw, NBC News, New York.